A few months ago, I was alone in the university library at midnight, and it was a night I'll never forget. My name is Sarah, and I'm a graduate student in history. I like to study parts of history that most people forget about, which is why I was in the library so late. That night, I was doing research for my thesis on the history of our college. The library is really big and has lots of shelves full of books. It's usually a bit dark, and that night it was only lit by some small lights that didn't reach the dark corners. I had special permission to be there after hours, which felt great because I could access all the records and files I needed. But as the night went on, the quiet and big, shadowy library started to make me feel nervous. I didn't know it then, but my interest in the past was about to lead me into a very scary situation. As I flipped through the old files and newspaper clippings, I came across something that made me stop cold. There were reports of students who had disappeared decades ago, all from right here on campus. The most chilling part was that each of them was last seen near this very library. My hands felt a bit shaky as I read the details. It was unsettling to think about such mysteries in the quiet of the night. As I continued to read, I started hearing odd noises. First, it was faint footsteps, like someone trying to move silently through the stacks. Then, a book thudded to the floor in the next aisle over. I peeked around the corner, but there was no one there. I told myself I was just tired and hearing things, but a small voice in my head whispered that something wasn't right. Deciding it was best to pack up and leave, I began to gather the files I needed to take home. That's when I saw it, a shadowy figure in the corner of my eye. It was watching me from a dark corner of the library. Every time I tried to look directly at it, it seemed to vanish. My heart started to race, and a cold sweat broke out across my forehead. I knew I couldn't stay here any longer. Grabbing my things, I hurried to leave, feeling the weight of the figure's gaze on my back as I moved as quickly as I could toward the exit. I quickly shoved the files into my bag, my hands trembling as I felt the figure drawing nearer. With every second, my fear grew, and I knew I had to get out of there fast. Using my knowledge of the library's layout, I darted down less traveled corridors, hoping to confuse whoever was following me. As I neared the exit, the quiet was shattered by the sound of rapid footsteps echoing behind me. I glanced back and saw a shadow darting between the bookshelves. My heart pounded in my chest as I pushed my legs to move faster, bursting through the library doors into the cool night air. Outside, I didn't stop. I ran toward the campus's underground walkway, thinking it might be a shortcut to safety. But the footsteps followed, persistent and quickening. As I entered the dimly lit tunnel, my worst fears were realized. The stalker had followed me outside and into the walkway. Suddenly, he was right behind me. I could almost feel his breath on my neck. In a moment of sheer panic, I tried to sprint, but he grabbed my arm, spinning me around to face him. My heart raced as I struggled against his grip. Just as I felt I couldn't get away, loud voices and laughter echoed through the tunnel. A group of drunk students stumbled into the walkway, playing some loud game. Startled by the noise and the sudden appearance of others, the stalker let go of me and slipped into the shadows, disappearing as quickly as he had appeared. Breathing heavily, I leaned against the tunnel wall, my knees weak with relief. The students, oblivious to how they had just saved me, continued their noisy banter, heading toward the party. I knew I had to get out of there and find safety. The group of students noticed how scared I was as I stumbled out of the dark tunnel. They quickly came over to help me, asking if I was okay and what had happened. I managed to explain through shaky breaths that someone had chased me. One of them pulled out a phone and dialed campus security right away, while another kept asking if I needed water or to sit down. It didn't take long for campus security to arrive, and the local police followed soon after. I gave them a full statement about what had happened, describing the stalker as best as I could in the blur of fear. I also handed over the old files I had found in the library. The officers were particularly interested in these documents, saying they might be crucial in understanding the historical disappearances and possibly identifying who had followed me. In the days that followed, the library took immediate action to increase its security during the night. More lights were installed, and security cameras were added to ensure that everyone felt safe while studying or researching. The investigation led by the police eventually identified the stalker as a local resident who had become obsessed with the old cases of disappearances. He believed he was part of a historical pattern and was trying to reenact the mysteries. Reflecting on that night, I realized how my love for digging into the past had almost put me into a chapter of history marked by fear and danger. While I remained passionate about uncovering hidden stories, I learned the importance of being more cautious and aware of my surroundings, especially when alone. The experience left me with a deep respect for the unpredictability of the past and its power to affect the present. It reinforced my desire to uncover and share these stories, but now with a commitment to do so more safely, always mindful of the shadows that history can cast.